Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Tim. So Tim, welcome.
Hi, thanks.
So Tim, you just got your type back recently. What was your official typing result? Can you give us your typing result, your animals, sexual mortality?
Well, I've actually been kind of a sleeper for a while. So I got my type back in October of 18. So it's been a couple years since I've actually been typed. So I started, so I think I saw something before with you where you had followed a lot of Dave's stuff on Myers-Briggs originally, MBTI stuff. I did as well. So when I first saw him start to put, him and Shan put more YouTube content back out again, that's when I first found op, like almost when they first launched it to the public, to us. So I've been involved with it for a long time. I'm definitely a Facebook lurker, and I just consume op every week for long they've been going. So yeah, double feminine, Ti+Se. Yeah, that's my type. Blast last.
Your ISTP, and what was the animal stack again?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's consume, play, sleep, blast, last.
All right. And then what did you think and how did you feel when you got your official typing back like almost 2 years ago?
Yeah, it made sense. Made perfect sense. So I've been following Jungian function and function type, Myers-Briggs and such since I was 18 when I first kind of very into like personal growth stuff. So I'm constantly consuming different literature and things to kind of push the bounds for people stuff. So I'm actually I was actually an MBTI practitioner before I started doing all the op stuff. So I still teach classes for Myers-Briggs from time to time. So originally I had typed out as an INFJ, as everyone seems to be. So that never seemed to correlate very well. I would always go through and do it, and it made sense. But then as I read it, or go through it more and more, the more classes I taught, the further I got into it, it's just like, okay, MBTI has a bad habit of becoming very horoscopal, very like, okay, hey, feel good stuff, this, that, or the other. So I really wanted to find things that were a little bit more, objective. So when I got my type back, it was just like, okay, yeah, this makes way more sense than being an INFJ. It was just like me going through. It's just like, okay, I know having an athletic background, kind of how I look and what my daily habits are. I knew SE was somewhere in the savior, and I knew that because I am so analytical, that TI was most likely in there as well. So that was all guesses and stuff. I didn't really want to pin anything to it. I didn't feel like I was winning any sort of prizes by guessing my type beforehand. So when it came back, is that function stack, especially the double feminine. The double feminine made a lot of sense. So that's just been interesting to consume that and kind of still have back and forth with Dave and Shan and discuss things. So I do like a 6-week recurring email conversation with them. So I just stay up to date, see how they're doing. And so, yeah, I love it. It helps me, knowing my type now helps me kind of pare down and really highlight where a lot of those weaknesses are, which I love. So I get to attack those pretty regularly.
I think even though you type yourself as an INFJ long time ago, the functions are still the same as the ISTP, just different order, right? So in a way,
reversed.
Yeah, in a way, you kind of still saw your functions. It was just, in an order that you didn't expect, I guess.
Yeah. So it's, with it being a self-assessment for MBTI, I did laugh at it being like, oh, okay, hey, once I started following ops content, I was just like, oh, okay, I could see how people could get it inversed. And then it wasn't until I actually got typed as an ISTP where I had the same realization of just like, oh, hey, oh, look, it's upside down. What do you know?
Yeah, like you type yourself upside down almost. Like,
Yeah.
because INFJ is like their saver control and then tribe above self, but your self above tribe and your saver gather, right? So it was almost like you type yourself upside down.
Yeah.
You said that you got into Myers-Briggs a long time ago, since you were 18. Is that because you were an IP? Like, IPs tend to have a focus on self and, like building themselves up.
I would say so. That's I've always been interested in, what do I want to do with my life? How do I become the most efficient human being that I possibly can? That's always been just maybe not those words exactly, but that's what's coming out now. But it's like, how do I get better? How do I, when I mess something up, how do I improve? If I hurt somebody, how can I be more kind? If I fail a problem, how can I be better at, flipping that Rubik's Cube faster? Whatever the concept's going to be. It's just always been, to me, why would you not do that as a person? Like, why would you not try to improve upon yourself constantly? So finding things like that it just came natural, I guess. I didn't really put much thought into it. It just, read and grow and learn. And yeah.
Speaking of the tribe, you have play as your savior, actually. So would you say that, unlike a lot of other IPs out there, the tribe might not be your biggest problem? Would you say that, or would you disagree?
So no, it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because we can debate and discuss the validity of introvert versus extroversion, and it being more of a slider switch versus like, hey, you're an extrovert, you're an introvert. But of course, I get the thing all the time where people go, oh, you're not an introvert, you're very extroverted, and yada yada. It's just like, well, no, because that consume masculine TI in my head, that's where I'm at all day. And most of the time when I'm playing with the tribe, it's not, I'm not connected in with my moral beliefs or my logical beliefs. It is very much a channeling some sort of a jester type thing. I'm joking, I'm playing, I'm having fun with people. I'm not trying to keep it serious. And where it really comes out with having that lead play is, as soon as someone doesn't take my joke and they make me be serious with my TI, then my feminine demon FE, if I can't agree with somebody, then I start to get really worked up. So that's something that I have identified and seen through, how I use my play as like this joking, have fun, make everyone feel good type thing. And then as soon as it goes negative, I get in a bad mood. I can rage sometimes. I get really sad sometimes. Like, it's big swings when the feminine FE wants to, have a hissy fit.
Well, it makes sense because your play is double feminine, right? And it's also SF. So
yeah.
when you have a swing and you go to sleep, then it's double masculine. You have double masculine sleep, right? Actually, both of us, we both have the double feminine play and we both have double masculine sleep, right? So
Yep.
That's what we have in common. But so for you, when you go to your double masculine sleep swing, what's that like?
Gladiatorial. It's just immediately very stoic, very I feel like I exist. I mean, obviously with lead masculine TI, I exist there a lot. So sometimes it's jarring when I get pulled out of that space when people want me to be playing like that. And it can be, I can be very, if I'm not, because if we're interacting right now, right, if I'm channeling that play, I'm very smiley, I'm very warm, I'm very loving. And then, but if someone catches me where I'm not wearing that mask, so I have to put that on, I have to actually wear that with purpose for that to actually come out. So if someone is trying to mess with me or joke with me or, debate with me or whatever, when I'm in that masculine sleep mode, I can be very punchy and short and stoic. And, if I'm not aware of it, then, I'll end up, pulling the IP asshole card. So it's very interesting to see, especially when it happens. I can analyze myself and the person, and yeah, it's interesting. Kind of like that, I guess, if that makes sense.
What about the actual physical sleep? Like, if people wake you up, do you get really pissed off then? Like,
no, I don't have any issues with waking up. Like, I seriously, like, because I've thought about this before, because so I work, I'm a firefighter for my career wise. So as far as like being woken up, it's all the time. So we get calls at night, we get woke up. So it's just like, and I don't know if maybe it's the career has pulled me against it or not, but I mean, a bunch of guys living in a fire station, we're playing pranks on each other at 3-4 in the morning sometimes. So it's
I see.
Getting woken up. Nah.
Where in the US do you live again?
I live in the Las Vegas Valley, specifically Henderson.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, but you're a lead consume. So are you just stuff all day then? It's just
all
like,
day. Yeah, it never turns off. It never stops. It's funny because it's like when I'm consuming things doesn't feel like I'm consuming things until someone else tells me you're consuming a lot. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, well, you burn through all these books, all these videos, all these things. It's like right now I have 12 tabs open behind our Zoom
yeah,
meeting. And it's just, I got my laptop next to me. I got this here. I'm, playing a game while I'm analyzing this, political talk or economic talk or whatever, and just kind of consuming. So it's never off, and I don't ever want it to be off, except for when I'm like, hey, time to be actionable and get some blast going, which, as you would imagine, is having some difficulties from time to time.
yeah. Let's talk about your blast then.
Mhm.
What's your blast then? Like,
Let's not talk about
yeah,
no.
I mean, because like you said you teach Myers-Briggs too, right? So
I do, yeah.
I mean that means you have to blast then, when you're doing that. So
Hmm.
like, do you feel like you've taken some time to practice your blast over the years, and it's gotten to a point where it's not as bad as it could be, or is it still pretty?
Yeah, I think it's when it comes to interacting, that blast, that the play aspect of it, I don't have an issue with it. I don't think I ever really have. Well, when I was really young, I was very shy. And it took me kind of, once I started going down the fire department path, and I went through that academy and thing, it kind of, you're forced to present. So I was a part of a program called the Explorers, excuse me, which is basically like Boy Scouts for the fire department. And in that class, it's very regimented. It's very paramilitary. You have to give presentations. You have to give classes. And I had an objective there, so I didn't think about the presentation or giving of classes to people until it was just something I was doing all the time. And then you get into the department, and as a rookie, you have to teach all sorts of classes and all this. And then I really like teaching people. I like helping people because I feel like I'm constantly analyzing how I'm learning and how people are teaching me. And then I give that like a cohesive middle. And then as long as I'm aware of being, just being kind to people as they're learning, and constantly like, I'm constantly just saying like, does that make sense? Does that make sense? People at work make fun of me for saying that all the time. Does that make sense? But going through that, as far as like teaching wise, I enjoy it. I really like it. Where the blast for me comes in is um, very much analyzing and being specific about how I want to advance my identity, my career choices, all those things. So when it comes to making decisions of the most efficient way to move forward for me, that's when I'll stutter, because I'll say, well, okay, I know I need to do these 10 voiceover auditions today, but you know what? There is a seminar on e-learning that I want to read about first. And then I go through that whole thing, and I'm doing my notes and I'm organizing stuff. And then the day's over and I haven't actually done anything. All I've done is consumed. I haven't done
Right.
anything, because that's, the blast part of that I feel is more attached to my identity than it is interaction with people.
It sounds like when you were teaching, though, it sounds like you were using play, because if you were asking people, does that make sense? It's a two-way street, right? You're trying to get feedback, while blast is a one-way street, right?
Yeah.
Your blast is also NF,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't, like, have you blasted any NF stuff? Like,
Not, I start to with kind of what we talked about beforehand is I'm also I'm pursuing a voiceover career as well, which a lot of pure form acting classes I've been taking the past couple of years. So that's definitely tapping into some NF stuff. So I go into a class where I'm learning, and um, can get very kind of woo woo with some of the stuff, and I'm just like, okay, but what's the process here? So I think about how I would go about teaching that, and then immediately I come into a roadblock of like, well, how do I teach an an emotional state, or I don't know how I would play that with someone. So I have probably a lack of that NF blast piece. Something that I'm constantly analyzing and seeing what I can pull from to not analyze it so much and just be emotional about it. So
have you
um,
have you watched any like ENFJs or INFJs who are just abusing that blast NF all day and kind of like mimicking what they're doing? You know?
Yes and no. There's a few guys at work that I have suspicions of that are like that I kind of analyze all day and go through, and it when I consume all this stuff in things like that, when I'm trying to find examples to go from, I laugh because it's like, am I learning anything, or am I just consuming and TIing shit still? Like, I don't know. So trying to be aware of that, I guess, is a challenge that I have to come to. So
yeah, I mean, even talking to you right now, I haven't heard a single NF thing at all. So it's
yeah.
definitely lots of SF, a lot of ST and NT. So
Yeah. So it's as soon as we start having like an interview, things like this, I immediately go into this mode. So it's just like professionally for voiceover stuff, it's like I can get to that place, but it's a very private thing, I guess, for me to get to that. So opening up and being normal about it, I guess, is the challenge, I suppose.
to use the NF stuff.
Yeah.
The woo.
Yeah. The woo woo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's talk about your demons then. You have
Okay.
demon FE, right? But it's not exactly like the weird thing. It's part of your savior too. So even though it's fourth, so but it's double, but it's feminine. So would you say that you've pissed off a lot of people in your life as a result of that fourth function, FE, or have you gotten a lot of tribe hate? Like tribe hate is the biggest problem for IPs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about your experience with tribe hate.
So tribe hate. So in general, I think I conduct myself pretty well. So with the FE being last for me, I still don't see it as a lack of it. I'm pretty personable. Again, but it turns into that. It's that play. It plugs into that. So I don't have issues with it. I have issues with the negative swings of it. I have very hard negative swings of FE, where I disagree with somebody and I get very emotional about it, and I can lose myself in that, and I stay away from that a lot because it's a fear. It's that sleeping dragon I have in my consciousness. It's when it erupts and comes out. It's like I'm afraid that I'm going to hurt people with it. So not physically, but or me being emotional, crying or raging or something in that vein, I suppose. But when it comes to, especially with it being feminine, to move and flow with the tribe is super easy, and I like doing that. Especially in the fire department, you have a lot of masculine extroverted deciders, and it's to be able to bob and weave and be that juxtaposition in a position where we have to take care of the public, where we have to come in and be kind to people. I get to flex that muscle more than I guess I normally would. So, the masculine DE comes in and, they're very, we got to do this. You're not doing this. They're doing that. And I have the wherewithal to be able to say, okay, hey, let's flow for a little bit. Hey, how are you feeling today? Yada, yada. That bedside manner is something that it becomes easier just because there's a lot of masculine DEs in the fire department. And for me to automatically be forced into that role has helped me build that muscle more, I think.
They said that the IP and EJs tend to get along really well, though. So what's your experience been like working with a lot of, savior masculine DEs at work,
It's interesting because it's, when you start out, it's very, it can feel like it's dog eat dog. It really isn't. It's just a bunch of people cooped up in a room dealing with a lot of high stress stuff. And, they're going to vent with their saviors because that's how they want to interact with things. So you got to learn that they're going to punch. They're going to, they're going to come at you and do little jabs or what. They don't mean anything by it, whatever. But to go to flow to that feminine FE and just like when they make a jab at you, just receive, enlarge in return. Like, oh, okay, hey, you're gonna make a jab. Oh, you're small. You're not as buff or big as me. Yada yada. And it's just like, oh yeah, you're right. But hey, I can do backflips. You can throw me up on the building. I can grab somebody. Whatever. You just play. You got to play with it, right? Again, it's kind of playing there, but you can't let it. My first 2 or 3 years, I took everything super personally in the fire department. My dad, well, I have a lot of family members in the fire department. My dad is a chief on the department. My uncle is a captain on the department. My cousin works across the valley. My second cousin works in the valley as well. So I would get a lot of backhand comments of, like, oh, you're chief's kid. You didn't earn to be here. And I would take it, I would take it personally. I'll be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm over here working my ass off and doing all that stuff. And it took a while for me to actually be like, okay, people are just going to say that and it's fine. And, some people don't even care. And some people think that that's real, that somehow what I'm doing is, there's some nepotism involved to it or something. Right. So, getting to a place where I'm calm with that has been, very nice. It feels a lot better just to be like, yeah, whatever, they're going to say this, they're going to say that.
Did you just kind of got numb to it because you kept getting it? You're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, because I had I had plenty of people who were 100% on my side, who actually were a part of my journey, all my mentors, and where I earned my place, and I have earned my place, and I'm not. And everything that the other people are saying is just because they're bored and they want to gossip, or they don't think like that hurts anybody. They're just having a discussion. Well, that's how it is, or how it isn't. Whatever. People have their opinions. They do their thing, and I know I have my aggressive opinions. I try not to push it on people. I let you do whatever the hell you want to do. You let me do what I want to do. If you want to try to encroach on me, then whatever. Like, as long as you're not offending me, my family, my friends, then say whatever you want.
Let's talk about you being a double observer then. So double observer means you are good at gathering and then organizing with whatever you're gathered. So what's your process like when you get in that double observer mode?
So constantly gathering for sure with the sensory. I'm becoming more and more as I am becoming quote unquote more efficient with kind of my life. Just paring everything down and cleaning everything up. I just spent the last year just really organizing my house and just starting to just tap into that NI and just keep narrowing down, because I would just freaking cokehead SE everything. Just gather. I get home, my room is a mess again. I was like, how the hell did this happen? And then I wouldn't want to do anything. I would just want to gather. I wouldn't want to actually be productive towards stuff because everything's just a mess. It's like, oh, well, I'll gather something up to solve this problem. Well, that's not going to work. I got to start paring down. So in the past year, I started getting really involved with organizing notepads, notebooks. I have 2 big whiteboards that I do, and I make myself go to every single day. I make my list. I try and be very efficient with crossing all those lists off to keep myself from just becoming this gathering monster. So kind of going back and forth and really strengthening that NI, even though it's in that middle balance, it's still being a demon is something that I can see and am aware of. And it's that Achilles heel that I've been able to kind of pinpoint and go after. So
It's kind of you've tamed that area.
Say that again.
Tamed that area.
Yeah. Still working on it for sure. I mean, it's as soon as I kind of let myself slip, it's woo boat, I go off and do whatever.
No, that's a good idea. I never even thought about that because I'm an EP, right? So I'm a gathering monster also. So
yeah,
I look at my to-do list and it just keeps getting longer and longer, right? But what you said is I feel like you should be crossing off more than what you're adding. Otherwise, so that's a good tip for sure for everyone, I think.
Yeah. And it got to a point where and I read a lot, but I don't read 2 books a day or something crazy. But it got to a point where it's just I was getting Amazon packages for new books that I didn't even remember ordering. And it's just what am I doing? So it's just I got to stop this process, whatever. So
that's your feminine SE at work then? Because you're gathering something, but it's feminine. So you forgot about it. And...
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And when it comes to the observer function or being a double observer like that, oh my goodness. My dad makes fun of me all the time because it's as I'm explaining things, there's ums and ahs, blast, last, or whatever. But it's just yeah, this, that, or that. And then I always say blah, 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 blah. Because the details, the sensory doesn't really matter. Yes, I'm gathering it in, but I'm gathering it in. And then I'm, it's, hey, I got a 24 pack of different paint colors. Okay, I don't remember what colors they are, but now I can start actually painting my NI picture with those things. You're like, okay, I don't remember what colors I used here. It doesn't matter. But as long as my picture's there, then I can pursue that. So it's interesting in that sense of just, hey, everything that I gather, I can never remember the details unless I'm like actively saying like, hey, if I need to teach to someone, I need to know this. So then I'll take the time to actually remember those details.
Yeah.
But if it's just willy-nilly regular today, it's just like, no, I can do what I do because I gathered the sensory, but then I brought it into the picture. And so I don't remember what the sensory is because it's a picture now. If that makes sense. But
Well, let's go to the picture then. Like you have masculine NI, right? So, what's your experience like with that masculine NI? Like it's like, do you have a set path into the future that you kind of are looking towards? I mean, obviously,
yeah.
a voice actor, right? But
Yeah, so I have my regimen of classes that I do. I take 1 or 2 classes a month here locally in the Vegas Valley, and then I always try and drive out to LA to work with some of my pure form acting coaches and some of those other folks. But all of that is laid out in my schedule already to be ahead of time. But as far as like the fire department, next February I will have completed my 7th year. So I'll be able to buy 3 to then retire at 10. Once that's done, then I'll sell the house, move out, stay with my parents for like 2-3 months, save up some cash, go to LA. Once I'm in LA, then I can go to my agents and start that process there. All the while, I'm still doing recording and auditions and such from my home studio, continuing on my commercial career while I do start the video game and the motion capture and all of those classes and courses. So all of that is within the next year or 2. And then once that's there, then it's just, hey, grind for the next 3 to 5 years, get auditions, keep my brand up, keep my website. So it's like everything is it's constantly like, here is my railroad track and that is the direction I'm going. So.
Man, that's such a good example of like double observer right there. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grind it out for X amount of years and I'm just going to do it. And I'm like, oh, like, I mean, for you, it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But a lot of people, our EPs will think, oh my God, grinding for X amount of years. That sounds horrible, right?
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Now it's like, it's the plan is there. So that's good. So now it's just like making myself accountable to being actionable with it is my fear and the biggest thing for it.
Yeah. You have masculine TI. So have you ever slapped someone with your masculine TI? Like, let's say they're saying something, it's very illogical and, it doesn't make sense. And you just like, punch them with that masculine TI.
Yeah, I did. A lot when I was younger. I seem to have pulled off of it more. And this is the thing I'm interested in, how exactly this process works. Because being the double feminine ISTP, that FE being a demon, I've always been, I'm always very kind. I've always been very kind. But it's not that it feels fake, but it's like, hey, you have emotions, you have things that you care about and don't care about. So my logic for me is mine. It's not yours. So it's not my place to argue with you most of the time, unless someone begins to tread on, again, my identity. That's the only time I'll wake up and actually bite back. Outside of that, I want to take care of people. I want people to feel comfortable because I expect the same way for me. So when people start to treat me bad, then I'll start coming out. Then I'll turn into, hey, slap, this is wrong, you're wrong, this is angry, this is blah, blah, blah. So it does come out from time to time. But I've found as I've gotten older, I've been able to put a leash on it so I can walk around with it, but it's not going to get out and actually attack people.
Yeah, that's a good description, actually.
Yeah. So it's not that it probably doesn't happen. I'm sure that there's still some times that, I'm not aware that it's coming out as hard as it is. But as I've gotten older and as I've, again, this personal growth thing and just being aware of it, and op helps a lot with just awareness in general. Feel like I have a better handle on it than I used to. So.
Well, you're definitely a single decider because you were peacocking that pretty hard just now.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good. It's good. That's a good thing because I mean,
Yeah.
if you're peacocking something, it means you're really working at it. So that's a good.
Yeah, yeah. At least I'm aware of it and
Yeah.
working towards something. So
Exactly. Let's talk about the double feminine stuff. So
sure.
they said that it means you're a tester and you're visual. So would you say you're quite visual and you like to try different stuff? I guess.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So it's like the testers one is interesting. Because I am very visual. Everything I do is like watching Ass's interview. The 3D scan, the like the blueprint that happens in my head all the time, or images, or how I'm going to do. It's constantly. I don't see things, as a feminine SE, if it's a visual thing or if it's a lack of detail thing, like whichever one it sits on. I lean at that visual piece very, very heavily. I don't see words or letters in my head or anything like that. I don't understand that concept. It's all pictures, and
Yeah.
it's very and it's not so much like a pic. It's like it's a 3D model, a rendering. I can walk through it. I can fly above it. I can look. I can take different angles of it. I can solve it in different directions with that. I don't know. Like everything is very visual. I understand things through visual concepts. And so sometimes if I haven't prepped to explain that or teach that to somebody is very difficult because I understand it. It's my thing. Like I can see it and be actionable on it immediately because I can see the scenario. I'm a part of the theater of the mind for that piece. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So you see the image, but zooming into the fine detail is the problem. Then would you say?
Yeah, it doesn't. There is no. I can see the detail of the picture that I see. I can walk amongst it and look at it, but I'm just looking at it. I'm not like, it's not, there is no detail of, there's no labels on it. There's nothing saying like, this is this and this is that and this is this and then that. It's just a blank picture or 3D model or whatever. Usually it's stop motion. So there's nothing there and it's just all moving slightly or whatever. So.
What about what about the tester stuff? So I noticed that people who are testers, they love like there's this YouTube channel that I like to watch. It's this guy who likes to eat like MRE. I don't know if you've seen that one. You've seen it? Yeah,
I've seen it. I know of it. I don't personally watch it a ton, but I've seen it from time to time. Different friends at work show me. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I was watching this one MRE YouTube channel. I think his name is Steve MRE or something. And this guy, I think he's double feminine, and he's just like eating food from like the 1900s, like World War I ration. Like he's like, I shouldn't be eating this because I don't know if this looks good. It smells kind of rancid, and he'll eat it anyways, right?
Oh,
I'm just like I'm just laughing my ass off, right? And then it's like, oh, this ration's from the 1900, and then I'm gonna go eat it. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh no.
And I'm like, is this what a pure form, what a tester looks like? Like that's kind of right?
And this is where I have some difficulties with it. I will try any food. Like I'm very willing to go out. I don't tend to like a lot of stuff though. I'll eat anything, but I have and I don't know if it's like, I don't know what it ties into or, what subjective piece this is for me, but I get made fun of because people say I'm picky and I don't eat certain food or whatever. I just know what I like, first of all, but I'll try anything. Anytime anyone cooks anything, I'll eat it. And then it's maybe a little TI comes out here, but I'll eat it and be like, that was gross. That was awful.
Okay, got it. But you'll try it from the tester side. Will try it, but
yeah.
And it's like, nope, it sucks.
Yeah, not my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, at least you tried it. Like you still consumed it. You still.
Yeah. But I will say, like the tester piece, I love different hobbies. I'm constantly looking for different hobbies. I just got a motorcycle like 2 days ago. Been driving that thing around like crazy. Kayaking, hiking. I got into voiceover because I wanted to try new stuff. I started doing some theater stuff. I started doing some cirque gym stuff. I do rock climbing. It's like I want to try all these different hobbies. So so I don't know if that's the piece of the tester or not.
No, you know what? That's a good idea. That's a good point too, because I've noticed people with who are testers or either double feminine or feminine masculine. They like to try different activities too. Like like if it's cooking, they like to try different recipes. If it's like activities, like like you said, rock climbing, kayaking, whatever, you want to try every single different activities. And I'm like, what? I don't even want to do any of that stuff. That sounds awful, right? But but I know, but from what I've seen, the testers love that stuff. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's like, me, my buddy, who I have a high, definitely, excuse me, definitely Savior SE as well. And him and me are just constant, like, new games, new random games, new video game genres or whatever. We're constantly just trying and playing a bunch of different stuff and seeing what we like and what we don't like. And it's it's a madhouse with us just gathering and all this, doing all these different activities and stuff. So, if that ties into being a tester, then hell yeah, like I do that all day long. And again, like, paring things down now, kind of getting used to that. It's the same thing with just physical small objects, but also hobbies. Like, hey, find like 2 or 3. I keep telling myself, find like 2 or 3 that you really love and concentrate on those, because I just, tried getting into instruments, tried learning piano, tried learning violin, tried doing all this stuff. And it's like, it just goes away. On to the next thing, on to the next thing. It's like,
so it's going to be harder for you to achieve mastery then if you're just trying so many different things out.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm fine with most everything I touch. I'm pretty good at, but I always hit like a glass ceiling at like a 75% mastery of it. So it's like, and then I go to the next thing because I don't have the persistence to actually break through that ceiling, which is my big struggle and my goal with voiceover, especially with the acting piece of it, is like, I'm trying real hard to narrow this down and make this my career and develop this skill. So.
Yeah, that's a good point too with the glass ceiling thing, because like I think everyone can, if you practice enough, can get to a certain level. But then to break through the glass ceiling, that's gonna take a lot of grinding and
a
lot of boring kind of work.
Yeah.
You have blast last, so that means you are an energy dominant person.
Yeah.
So talk about being an energy dominant person. You do have play as a thing. So do you expend more energy? But then you know when you've gone too far and you need to start conserving, or what's your experience?
When this interview is done, I will refuse to talk to anyone else all day. That's just how it will be. I love this. I'm having like a great interaction and stuff like that, but this is my energy reserve. As soon as this is up, I'm not talking to anybody else, because it's self-introverted me time.
Right.
And so when I go out and I have fun, and I kind of mentioned to it earlier where people go, oh, well, you're super extroverted. I was like, yeah, I'm super extroverted for like an hour or two. And then I'm notorious for going to parties, having fun. Everyone's doing this, that, or the other. And then I will just leave the party and I will go outside. I'll like climb a wall. I'll lay on my back and just kind of look up at the sky and be by myself. And I'll do that for like 20 minutes, recharge, go back in. Yeah. So one of the balance things I've had at work, because for the fire department, we're there for 48 hours. My station, we have 15 guys there. I'm on the technical rescue station. So we have a lot of extra apparatuses. So we do swift water rescue. We do high and low angle rappelling. We do confined space, hazmat. So we have a lot of different disciplines that we have to go through, but because that we have a lot of people. So I have to titrate my day. My plan is usually go in, check out my rig, say hi to everyone, hang out for like an hour, and then I go to my room for like 2 hours. Because if I burn my energy early in the morning like that, by the afternoon I'll be angry, I'll be grumpy, I'll start to argue with people, all this stuff. So I have to stay away. And I have I have 2 very heavy conspiratorial folks who I work with who are very into conspiracies and stuff. And oh man, yeah. I just want to argue with them all day, but that took me like 2 years to get over that, to where it's just like, all right, I'm just going to joke with you guys now, or, I'll listen, but yeah.
Okay. So speaking of IJs, so Dave and Chan, sometimes they reveal to you like the official typing of people that in their list of archives, right?
Yeah.
So I was watching one of the videos of the people that they had in their list. I don't know if you know Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Poor Dad guy.
Yep.
So I just watched his video like yesterday. He's an IJ, right? Like an INTJ. And then the first thing he says in the video was like, "Is the coronavirus even real? It's like
God damn it."
He's like, "Is it fake? I think it's fake. I don't think it's real. A conspiracy." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what is like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever."
Yeah, I've gotten really into financing and real estate and stuff over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And I read his book like a year or 2 ago, and I loved it. And then I watched an interview of him, and I went, God damn it, this guy's a moron. Fuck. But my two IJ guys at work love him. They talk about him all the time. And it's just like, holy crap. It's like, even if it was fake or whatever, it's like the purposes that it's serving is not, there's no puppet master. There's no one here. It's everyone in each department is just doing the best they can. They're being dumb or they're being smart. And then it's just a cobweb of whatever, and whatever invisible patterns you think you're seeing probably aren't there. And it's like, whatever, I can go on around on this all day, but
yeah, no, but it is crazy, man. Like, what? How do you not see that this is real? Like, coronavirus is not fake. Like, it's like when I heard that, it was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Well, it's like the guy I work with, he's so bad. He keeps saying, hey, do you know anybody that has coronavirus? Do you? And I'm like, Greg, 3 people on our fire department have run calls on Corona guy. It's here. It's real. He's like, well, I haven't seen him in person. It's like, you don't need to. It's now you can trust other people. I guarantee you. Fuck.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, but then I'm pretty sure when it comes to people and self though, they're pretty balanced though. They're like, oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, they're, and that's definitely one of the things I watch with them that I'm just like, they're just so willy-nilly about, yeah, that's fine, whatever, fuck you, fuck you, fuck me, whatever.
Yeah. It's like, I'm an idiot, you're an idiot, we're all idiots. Like,
yeah, we're all idiots.
Let's talk about the fakeness of this coronavirus.
yeah, it's like, what the hell is happening?
Like, you're just batshit crazy, like.
Oh my God, yeah, it's funny. It's just, oh man. But yeah, it's wild. It's funny.
All right, man, we're gonna wrap up the interview pretty soon.
Okay.
I think we covered everything already. I can't think of anything that we haven't covered yet. But
Sure.
I think you're doing a really good job actually with practicing your FE. I think the area that you would need to work on the most, if I were to say something from just watching you during this interview, was maybe you've the one thing you've never used is NF. It's like it's almost like your blind spot right now is NF. Like it even seems like you're pretty preemptive with the tribe stuff. Like you'll do nice things, show kindness to people, and in return, they'll show kindness back to you, or for the most part they will. So you're kind of preemptive with that. So it seems like your biggest blind spot, from what I can see, is NF and Blast. What do you think you can do to practice that in the future to get better at it, and get better at the more NF side of things?
It's hard because it's like, I immediately want to, when you ask that question, it's just like, how am I going to solve this Rubik's Cube? What's my next chess move here? What's my, how do I solve this? And then it's just like, you have to stop and kind of look up and go, well, that's not how you do NF at all. So that's the great question now. It's just like, okay, how do I tap into that more? So as I pursue kind of this voiceover career, I run into more and more people who are Savior NF, who are teaching classes like this, who, acting in general is a pure form, empathizing with your character, with your scene partner, things like that. So exposing myself to that environment and trying to just, accept and really just bring that to heart as best as possible, I think is going to help me just in the long run, as I passively kind of absorb that and just kind of allow myself to really just to become a part of it. So that's at least something that I'm pushing towards to do there. So yeah,
so one of the big things with NF is that a lot of NF people like talk about energy and vibrations, and like, this is a negative vibe, that this person's toxic. Like, do you ever can you feel that kind of stuff? Like,
I do. Yeah, I'm very like I said, that FE, I'm very aware of it, but to explain it in that way, it's a feeling. It's it's in my heart. When I watch people interact, that feminine FE, like when people are pushing the boundaries of too much, it's like I'll often be a wedge and come in and change the subject or this, that, or the other. Or when I'm having conversations with people, one of the things I, especially like at parties, if people, because I used to be very shy, and I can be at times still, excuse me, I kind of look for the people who look like they don't know a lot of people, or they don't, they're uncomfortable in the party. And I try to be very warm with them, and I try, hey, try and interact with them. And maybe that's a little bit more play, but I try and sit with them, and I try and vibe with them, and I try to just get them so that they don't feel uncomfortable anymore. And so that they can just, not feel like they're in a hostile environment or feel like they're, not hurt or not interacting or something, or, anything like that, where I want them to feel at home with whatever environment that we're in.
Okay, that sounds like play though. So it sounds
Sure,
like
I guess.
NF blast is definitely like a blind spot. So
Mm-hmm.
at least you know the next target, right? So that's
Sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you need to blast it though. It has to be a blast. It cannot be like a play. It has to be a blast. It's like an NF
Sure.
blast. Like let's say you go up to someone and tell them, the vibe of this party is very toxic, or the vibe of this party is really enlightening and very like enriching. Like I feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
really just being with this like-minded people, this group of like I don't know, something like that.
Sure.
Yeah. Last question for you is, we have completely different functions. Do you have any questions about functions that you don't have? Because I have the complete opposite functions as you. I have NE,
Mm-hmm.
FI, TE, and SI. Is there anything about those functions that you would want to?
Something that's always interesting is the TI versus the FI, the DI in general. For me, for that TI, like when it comes to what's a good example here, like fighting games. I play a lot of fighting games.
Yeah.
I never want to pick like the top 3, the most efficient people. I always want to have something that's like more of my thing. Like, this guy's like the second worst fighter in the game, but he's got really cool aesthetics, so I want to play him, right?
Yeah.
So I do that all the time, and so now I get confused. It's like, does FI do that same thing, or is that a TI thing? Like, how do you feel about your feelings towards like what you want to play or what you want to do? Like what or what you want to explore or talk to, or et cetera.
I think there's a big difference between FI and TI. I mean, kind of what you said is kind of like, it's like a self-awareness thing, which you do.
Sure.
But I think with the FI, it's more like constructing or deconstructing emotions. So for example, like, let's say someone offends me at work, right? Like someone
Mm-hmm.
says something to me and I get offended, right? Then for me with FI, I can kind of retreat back and be like, why did I feel angry when this person said this to me? And then I would kind of like go back. It's like, oh, okay, I felt angry because I was insecure about this kind of stuff. And as a defense mechanism, I said this back to this person in a way to protect myself. So in the future, what I should do instead to change my behavior is that I should not be angry. Instead of take constructive criticism and accept it instead of getting angry about it. So it's kind of like analyzing the what I felt and like kind of like
Sure.
going back and like seeing what the appropriate behavior response is. Like with FE, it's kind of quicker. Like you can kind of, say the appropriate response right away.
Sure.
With FI, you have to kind of retreat back, think about it first before you can say it. So in a way, it's bad and good. It's bad because like when it's like when you're in the present moment and you're having an interaction with someone or a group of people, the appropriate emotion doesn't come out right away. Like you have to think about it first before.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
You're trying to handle a ball with like gloves on. You're like, yeah, here it is. It's like, I think I did this, or is this right?
Yeah, I mean, like Dave, right? He has like, he says that if he puts FI and T together, he can kind of use FE, and that's kind of like what it is. It's kind of like, okay, I don't feel what the room is feeling right now. Like I know everyone's feeling like high energy, but I don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But how can I make myself feel that way? So that you have to kind of go inside first, pump yourself up somehow, and then somehow you can kind of go with that flow, because you're not part of the flow with that FI. You're disconnected from it at all times. It's good sometimes because when everyone's freaking out, right? You're not freaking out. You're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You're disconnected. But at the same time, it's bad because when everyone's feeling the same feeling, that you kind of want to, join the party, but you can't, because it's
Yeah. And that's the only piece that I would argue on my end of having that FE low and having that as a part of NF, to see at least I'm hitting or I'm pursuing half of NF. So for it to be a blind spot, it's at least a spotlight that I'm in, that I think I am exercising. But just to hear that FI side of things, it's just like, really, like it's just like not even there. You have to like crank this freaking engine to get it started and going, where it's just like, it's constantly going for me at least.
Well,
but that's interesting.
I think you understand the NF. I think talking NF is the problem. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Glass, right? It's glass.
Yeah, like I said, it's like a two-part Lego piece, and it's like I got one of them going at least. I just got to connect them in and actually make an F as an actual ingredient or end product. Take the two ingredients and bring them together.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You got it, man. You just using the other
Yeah.
half. All right, dude. Thanks for the interview. That was great.
Yeah. Hey, Kendrick, I appreciate it, man. This is awesome that you do these whole series. So I think everyone really appreciates it and is able to kind of just watch that and just kind of, oh, cool. That's what that person looks like or interacts like or does this or does that. So you're doing good stuff, man. I think a lot of people appreciate it. So
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah. All
yeah.
right, man, I'm gonna quit the interview now. So bye, everyone.
Cool. Take care. Thank you, guys.
And